What's good, Panther Nation? Welcome to Two Fans in the Stands. I'm your boy Tony.
And I'm CJ.
And in this first episode of Agree or Disagree, we're going to discuss if Bryce Young is a lock to be the first overall pick by the Carolina Panthers in this upcoming draft. Let's go. CJ, what's going on with your cuz? How you feeling today, my boy?
Oh my goodness, man. Well, we are T minus what? 3 days from the draft now? 4 days, I
T
think it is.
T minus 3 days.
Man, hey, like I said before, I've never been this excited for a Carolina Panthers draft ever. Ever. So I am excited. I am happy and I can't wait. But you know, one other thing that I'm excited about, how our channel is growing. I want to throw this out here. We are at
Okay.
384 subscribers, everybody. So I would love to be able to get to 400 before the draft or during the draft. Any order doesn't matter. But you watching this, please hit that like button, subscribe, turn on that post notification bell so you know when our videos come out. We appreciate the love and support. And now that little bit of business is out the way, let's get back to the episode.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, the talk around the league in Panther Nation, Panther
Mm-hmm.
Twitter, whatever the case may be. It seems to me what I'm hearing is it's pretty much a done deal, and that the majority want Bryce Young to be the pick for the Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
So, my question to you is Bryce Young a lock to go first overall to the Panthers? Do you agree or disagree?
Okay, I'm going to disagree, but with the slightest of margins. Okay,
Okay.
the slightest of margins, and I say that because if you believe Scott Fitterer and everything that he says, then there's still four quarterbacks in the mix for the number one pick. All right, that's C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, and Will Levis. All right, now I only really truly believe that there are two in the mix, and that's C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young.
Exactly.
Now it's come out that C.J. Stroud scored in the 18th percentile on the S2 cognitive. Yeah, what's it? I'm sorry.
Cognitive test.
Cognitive test. Oh, forgive me, everybody. Forgive me. I'm sorry. Tongue
Yeah.
twister there on my part. But he scored in the 18th percentile when Bryce Young was the highest at 98. Then you had BYU's quarterback, I think at like 95. Will Levis was at 93, and Anthony Richardson was at 79. So they said that anything above 80% is considered elite on that test. So at 18th, you scoring in the 18th percentile is not a good look. You know,
So
it's
what
really
percentage would that put him at if he falls within the 18th percentile? What was his score? Did anybody say what his score was exactly?
that that's the numbers that's come out that he was in the
Right.
18th percentile. That's it. They just got the percentiles that they scored in. I haven't seen anything else other than that. Now, I still say that there is a shot because, like I said, if you believe what Scott Fitterer said, there's still four quarterbacks that are in consideration. I only believe there's really two. All right. And I bring up that S2 test because, like I said, they say he scored in the 18th percentile. Bryce Young was at the top in the 98th percentile.
Right.
But one of the founders of that S2 test, his name is Brandon Ally. He came out and said that he's aware of the leaks, but he urges fans to take them with a grain of salt. Okay. He
Okay.
also
All
goes on
right.
to say we're obviously aware of the scores being leaked, and we're not sure where that's coming from. But I will say, to take some of those with a grain of salt, we have seen, hey, so and so scored the highest in the class or the highest ever. So and so scored low. And he said, it's like, that's not true. All right. And I've
Okay.
seen this blasted on everything, since it came out about Stroud and his test scores. Now, Scott Fitterer also said that they really do believe in the analytics, and they really do look at that S2 cognitive test when they're evaluating their players. Okay. So the reason why I say that he still has a chance is because now you got the scores that came out, they will leak, but then you have the founder, one of the founders of that test, who came out and said that's not true. Okay. So what if the numbers that we're getting are not true? What if it's a different set of numbers that the Panthers are getting? Who knows? All right.
Okay.
But that would be my only that would be my only reason to say that Stroud, I'm sorry, but Young is not a lock. One is because I still think that they're evaluating him and Stroud and Young. I still think that the Panthers are doing their due diligence on both of them. I really don't, no disrespect to the AR and Levis fans out there. I don't think that either one of them, personally, my opinion, are still in the mix. Okay.
Right.
But
Right.
if the Panthers have, if these tests are not true, these test scores, if it's just something leaked out there that somebody put out there to cause more confusion, stir up some more drama, or whatever, if that's the case and these numbers are not true, then I do believe that CJ Stroud is still in the running for that number one pick. I
Hmm.
really do. Now, mind you,
Okay.
you know, like I said, it's slim. It's very slim. I say that with maybe about that much.
Okay.
Um, if there was anything close to being a lock, Bryce Young is probably there. All right. But I do think there's a sliver of a chance that he's not a lock, and they're still considering CJ Stroud.
Well, before I jump in and answer that question, let me throw another question at you. If
Mm-hmm.
that's the case, if how much stock do you think that Scott Fitterer and Frank Wright put in that S2 test? I mean, I know it's a small piece
Mm-hmm.
of the puzzle that they evaluate when they try to evaluate these quarterbacks or whatnot.
Yeah.
But do you think that how much do you think that they put into that to be a determining factor of whether they take Stroud or Young? Because in my thinking, if it's not that much of a big deal, then I would say you probably can give CJ Stroud the edge a little bit. But if it
Mm-hmm.
is, then I'm thinking Bryce Young will have the edge. What you think?
Well, David Tepper has always been one who is about numbers and analytics. And ever since Scott Fitterer got here, he's also echoed the same thing. So, me personally, I think they put a lot of stock in that test. Okay. And like you said, it's probably one part of a whole. Now, how big a part of that whole is, I don't personally know. Okay.
Okay.
And then again, I look at it like this. Me personally, I think those numbers aren't correct. And like I said, this is just my thought coming from me. I don't see how in the world Stroud will go out there and score in the 18th percentile. And there's that big of a gap between him and the rest of the quarterbacks in this draft. You
Right.
know, like I said,
Exactly.
I don't see it. I don't
Right.
see it. And with the founder coming out and saying that basically, he don't know where people are getting these numbers from, but don't put no stock in it. Take it with a grain of salt. They're not true. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. I think the
No, I
Panthers put a
get it.
lot of stock in it. Okay, I really do, but I don't think there's. I don't think. those numbers are right. I don't think CJ Stroud scored way down there in the 18th percentile, and then everybody else is in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Exactly.
I just don't see it. You
The
know,
the
I
tape
just
the
don't see
tape
it.
don't match the intelligence that they're trying to put out there.
Yeah, he would have. You know that old saying, "You pick a bad day to have a bad day." He would have picked the
Right.
worst day to have the worst day possible, in one of the
Yeah.
most important things that he he's probably done in this draft process for teams to evaluate him. I just don't see it happening. But to go back to your question, I do think the Panthers probably put a lot of stock in all of these tests because Tepper, Fitterer, they're big on analytics. They're big on numbers. Okay.
Yeah.
So I do
Yeah.
think they put a lot of stock in it. And that's what I'm saying too. Now, mind you, okay, if Stroud's numbers are incorrect, but just say that Bryce Young's numbers are spot on, I mean, 98
You never
percentile.
know.
You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? So
Yeah. I got you.
yeah. But well, what do you think about this, Tony? What do you think that Bryce Young is a lock or no?
I agree. I agree. I think he's a lock.
Mm-hmm.
And it's by the slimmest of margins. And I think it's more of I'm going to say it's probably more geared towards or leaning towards who they're more comfortable with right now.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, I'm just leaning in the same direction that everybody else is leaning. I guess
Mm-hmm.
call me a follower, okay? Because
Rolling with the
the
wave.
right, I'm rolling with the waves. The talk around town is that it's all about Bryce Young. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm gonna go with Bryce Young on that. As we've discussed, the difference between Bryce Young and CJ Stroud for the past month or two, and the talk has always come up definitely about his size. You know,
Mm-hmm.
height. I'm not so much concerned about the height. It is what it is. The man's been playing at that same height throughout high school. 5-star quarterback, number one ranked quarterback coming in high school. CJ Stroud number two. Then
Mm-hmm.
he goes to Alabama. He played in one of the probably the toughest league in college football, and one of the toughest conferences, or the toughest conference. You know, not conference division, the West Division within the SEC conference. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, the boy's been playing top notch ball for 3 years, and I get analytics, I get all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I've been watching, playing, and coaching football for over 40 years. I remember not too long ago we didn't have analytics like this in football. You know, we had what we call the good old fashioned eye test. All
Mm-hmm.
right. If you can ball, you can ball. And if you
Yeah.
balling, somebody's gonna see you. Somebody gonna
Mm-hmm.
notice you. And if they
Yeah.
notice you, everybody else gonna notice you, right?
True.
So I don't get caught up in all that analytics and data analytics. Like, to me, that's not football. That's
Mm-hmm.
not football whatsoever. I look at the tape and I evaluate what competition have you played against? Who
Mm-hmm.
have you done this against? To me, that
Mm-hmm.
factors a lot in to what you can possibly do at the next level. Now, I have
Yeah.
over the past few weeks softened my stance a little bit more about Bryce Young. When I gone back and looked at some more tape, and I really I'm really impressed with how he avoids taking the big hit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think there's not one tape I went back and saw, and I went back and watched highlights from like 5 or 6 games over a 2 year span, and I can't recall ever seeing him take a straight squared up hit from anybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when you factor that in with all the other intangibles that he has, the mindset that he has, the poise that he has in the pocket, the
Mm-hmm.
creativity. It's hard not to root against him, and I'm not rooting against him at all. Don't get it confused. What I'm saying is, it's easy for people to throw all kind of negativity or make negative assumptions about you because of your height or your size. But
Mm-hmm.
he's kind of quelled those by what he has done and put on tape throughout high school and throughout college. So for that reason, on top of that, Heisman Trophy winner, you
Mm-hmm.
know, pro style offense. He's played behind um, NFL caliber offensive linemen in college at Alabama. So if he could do it there, he could do it in the league. You know,
Mm-hmm.
So with the only knock, my concern for his size has gone down. On a scale of 1 to 10, it used to be about like a 6 or 7, but
Mm-hmm.
now it's probably around about a 3. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
give it a good 3. It's not as severe as it once was. And like I said, I went back and watched that tape, those tapes of the past couple of years, and I've seen how he avoids taking the big hit, and that's something that he's going to have to be able to do at the next
Mm-hmm.
level. So when you factor all those things in and you put it in the pot, yeah, I think Bryce Young is a lock to the Panthers at number one. So yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna agree with the masses on that.
All right. Cool. And
Yeah,
just so it's out there, you know, either if it's Young or Stroud, I mean, I think I can
we
speak for both
good
of us when I
either
say,
way.
yeah, we good either way.
We
You know,
good. We
it's
are not. We happy with
yeah,
either or.
yeah. It's just a matter of preference. You know,
Just a
I
matter of
in this
preference.
whole process, you know, I've preferred CJ Stroud.
Yeah,
You know what
me.
I
Yeah,
mean?
me too. Let me go on the
Yeah.
record and say that I've said it before.
Mm-hmm.
We both have. We both would prefer if we were drafting.
Mm-hmm.
If the decision was ours, we both would take C.J. Stroud.
Yeah.
But
Oh, yeah.
if we take Bryce Young, we're gonna be just as happy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's a win-win situation for us, either or.
Yeah.
That
And
that that's
and
how I feel.
I wanted to go back and say something what you said when you were saying about the eye test and what you do against like the best of the best competition and all that. And that's
Right,
true. That's
right,
very true. But there are outliers out there. Okay? There are
right.
people out there that might surprise you. I mean, Josh Allen, he played for who? Idaho, right? Am I mistaken? I got that
Wyoming.
wrong.
He went to
Wyoming, my
Wyoming.
bad.
Okay.
Wyoming. Okay. Who in the hell does Wyoming play?
Nobody. Absolutely
Yeah.
nobody.
Yeah. So it's I kind of disagree when you say, analytics or whatever. You gotta the eye test is the tried and true, thing that people look at. Okay.
Right.
It's that measuring stick, the eye test. But you can't I hate when people say, "Oh, well, they didn't play against, well, they played against the best of the best, and they shine." You got some of them that didn't play against the best of the best, and then you put them in the league with the true, the best of the best, and they out here balling.
Okay. Let
You
me
know
ask
what
you,
I mean?
who?
Look at Josh Allen.
He doing good, but Josh
Hmm.
Allen ain't balling. Like,
How's he
okay,
not? How's he not balling?
let me back up. Let me back up on that statement. Josh Allen didn't start putting up the kind of numbers that he's putting up until
Hmm.
they traded for Stephon Diggs. Now, with
Hmm.
that being said, with Stephon Diggs, when they had Cole Beasley, when they had and they got Gabriel Davis, right? Now the
Mm-hmm.
only thing that Buffalo had been lacking for the past 2-3 years is a bona fide running game, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Besides going to the playoffs, where has Josh Allen taken them? Like in the playoffs, when has he really just put the team on his back and you looked at the game and say, you know what, we won because of Josh Allen? Because I can show you a game or two where they
Mm-hmm.
lost the game because of Josh Allen.
Well, shit. Look at that game the other year when they played the Chiefs. I mean,
Yeah,
shit. That was the case when the Chiefs had the damn. They had the ball last.
right,
You know what I'm
right.
saying? I'm
Yeah.
just talking about him. I don't think Josh Allen particularly lost that game for them. Shit. The defense couldn't
No,
stop the
I
Chiefs.
don't. Yeah, I don't think he lost that game for them neither. But last
Mm-hmm.
year in the playoffs when they played the Chiefs again, and he threw 3 interceptions. You
Yeah.
know, I think he tried to do too much instead of relying on
Mm-hmm.
Gabriel Davis, Stephon Diggs, Isaiah McKenzie,
Mm-hmm.
and had Devin Singletary and Zach Moss in the backfield. Like he
Mm-hmm.
tried to put everything on his shoulder. He tried to put the ball in places where he shouldn't have. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
But
those kind of things, those kind of pressure situations in big
mm-hmm.
games and big moments
Mm-hmm.
tends to show who you really are. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Well,
It
and
tends to show who you really
hold
are.
on. Let me just go back to what we were talking about though. I'm just talking about them coming out of college and what they're doing in the league now. If you go and ask anybody, or say you take a poll of 50 people, 50 NFL
Hmm.
fans, and you say
Hmm.
who's top five quarterback in the league, or who are your top five, I'm pretty sure many of them are going to have Josh Allen in their top five right now.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, and
Yeah,
let me say
that's
this.
that, that's
It,
that's what I'm getting at. I'm
it,
not pointing at one of his games, or at and basing everything off of just one of his games where he didn't do this. I'm just talking about his overall league performance coming
right,
from the school that he came from out of college, and saying that because he didn't play against the best of the best, that he won't be successful in the league. Now, mind you, he hasn't won a Super Bowl like Pat Mahomes has, what, two now? So
yes,
it that's the
should be
ultimate
3.
goal. Yeah, it should be three, for real.
Yeah,
Now
yeah,
look, he got the Rimmer treatment, didn't he?
yeah.
he,
You got
he
that
got
rimmer
the
treat.
Mike Rimmer treatment.
You got that Mike Rimmer
And
treatment.
that's the ultimate goal, is to win Super Bowls. But like I said, if you go out and ask 50 people who are their top five QBs in the league, I guarantee you 40 of those 50 will probably say Josh Allen. If you were to get 50 objective people who didn't have tunnel vision for one player,
Right.
or maybe
And
one or
and
two
I,
players.
and I'll say and put it in the broader picture, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you just go back just the last 10 years in the league, and if you could think of what quarterbacks played in the NFC and AFC championship games
Mm-hmm.
and the Super Bowl, and then you look at what kind of program they came from. Did they play Power Five ball, or did they play, the next level, or
Mm-hmm.
did they play FCS? I mean, did they play like
Yeah.
Division 1 AA or something like that? So when I say about
Yeah.
competition, like
Mm-hmm.
I give you a prime example. Just as well as not Jack. Well, I about to say Jack Wilson. Josh Allen
Mm-hmm.
is one of few, right?
Yeah.
There's one every now and then that's going to get through the cracks, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then you think of the hype that everybody had, or a lot of people had around Zach Wilson last year, and
Mm-hmm.
I specifically told people the kid is not going to be as good as y'all think he is because he's not used to playing to that level of competition. It
Mm-hmm.
matters. And I tell you this, me and a friend of mine was having this conversation last summer, and we was debating between the difference between the NBA when people come up when players come out of high school and they're evaluated when they get ready to go from the NBA draft, or when players come out of college and get ready to go to NFL draft. The NBA
Mm-hmm.
draft is basically based on strictly potential. Why I say that? Because they either come out straight out of high school or they play 1 year college ball and
Mm-hmm.
then they go straight to the pros. So that 1 year college ball don't give you enough tape or enough time to truly evaluate what you have. Cause that 1 year college ball, you still living off that senior year or that junior year high school hype. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
When these
Yeah.
boys come from the NFL, it's straight about production. You know, they're not looking at the ceiling or the potential as high as it is in the NBA, because you have 3 years, 2 to 3 years of tape. Like in
Mm-hmm.
NFL, you're not eligible for the draft unless you have 3 years of college, not 3 years as a player, 3 years of college. So if you
Mm-hmm.
redshirt your freshman year, you can come out as a redshirt sophomore because technically, class wise, you're a junior, right? So that's 3 years in
Mm-hmm.
college. So if you play 2 years, you got, there's film on you. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? There's film on you. People can get a better observation, get a better idea of what type of player you're going to be. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Now, don't I hate when each year we got 4 or 5 quarterbacks, and out of those 4 or 5 quarterbacks, you got probably one or two that might go in the first round, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe one that might that team might hit on. It's like every
Yeah.
year we're hyping up players in the draft to go in the first round, top 10, top five, and it don't even be the case. and,
Mm-hmm.
and to me that just be the media just spinning stuff because they're trying to have something to talk about leading up to the draft. That's just my take. I just think that there's a small percentage of players, especially at the quarterback position, that has come from smaller schools or schools with less competition that have just blown people out the waters at the
Mm-hmm.
NFL level. It doesn't happen often.
I
It
got you.
doesn't happen often.
I got you. But I will not really counter that, but I will say, now mind you, now Pat Mahomes played for Texas Tech, okay, in
Big
the
12.
Big 12, yeah, in the Big 12. But
Yes.
Pat Mahomes didn't. I mean, he put up he put up numbers, you know. But when you go out there and look at his overall team and their record, wasn't nothing to wasn't nothing to really write home about. Okay, and
No.
like I said, I ain't dissing Patrick Mahomes because he is the man. He's the man right now. But
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I should just cut that thought off before I get
Yeah.
for somebody come after me in the comments.
We're moving right along. Moving right along. There's also been talk. There's also been a lot of talk amongst Panther fans and things like that. I ain't gonna say just Panthers fans, but just been a lot of talk about, does the draft start for the Panthers at the first
Mm.
overall pick or the 39th pick in the draft? So I'm gonna ask you, CJ, does the draft start at the 39th pick overall? I mean, not the 39th pick overall, but does the draft start at the 39th pick for the Panthers? Agree or disagree?
I disagree because even though we got the number one pick, and even though we know we're going to take a quarterback, and I think they got it narrowed down to two, like we said in the previous segment. If they don't get this right, it doesn't matter. Now mind you,
Okay.
I do think that number 39 pick is very important. Okay, I think that's a very valuable pick that may prove dividends or may prove the opposite for years to come. But if they don't get that first pick right, we're gonna be right back to square one.
Yeah,
Yeah, that that's
I
that
agree.
that's my thought. That's real quick and simple.
Okay. Well, I'm
Yeah.
gonna agree. I agree. I do believe that the draft starts for the Panthers at the 39th pick, and I say that because at pick number one, first overall, you
Mm-hmm.
basically have two choices, in my opinion. Okay, you either gonna have C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young. To me, that's a win-win situation. That's like 1 and 1A. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly, in my heart of hearts, don't think the Panthers can go wrong. I don't think they're going to mess this up because either option is a very good option. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but pick 39. We remember we only have 6 total picks in this draft thus far, right? So far.
Mm-hmm.
At pick 39, there's so many things that you can do with that pick. Now you can stand pat and stay there at pick 39. You can
Mm-hmm.
use pick 39 to move up, either whether it be the top the second round or the late part or the first round, or
Mm-hmm.
you can move back. You have so many options at number 39. If there's 2 or 3 players that fall to you at 39 and you thinking, okay, well maybe I can fall back 3 to 5 spots and still pick one of them, but at the same time pick up some, 1 or 2 picks here and there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that can be a possibility. We all know that Scott Fritter loves to will a deal. He likes to trade. I mean, he wants to be in on every trade. So I
Yeah.
think something may shake loose. There's a strong possibility that something can shake you loose for Carolina at pick 39 because we don't draft again to the 93rd pick. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a long drop off. That's like what 54 picks.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there might be room to maybe fall back, a few picks and pick up another pick or two just to stretch it out a little more so and possibly walk away with 8 picks. But
Hold on. Let me
yeah,
let me let me ask you this. Let me do you like you do. Let me ask you this. So
okay.
if the Panthers have the 39th pick and they trade back, depending on how many spots they trade, now doesn't that put more pressure on them and whoever they pick? After it, just say if they were to make this trade, make it happen, and then
Put
just say
pressure.
who. No, I'm just saying, but doesn't that put more pressure on them to make sure that they hit with whatever spot they decide to trade to. Because just think of, you know how we are as fans, okay? You know how the
Okay.
media is, all right. So Carolina had number 39, and somebody was sitting there, and everybody was like, "Oh, well, this is a no brainer. Carolina should pick him." Next thing you know, they
Right.
trade back 5 spots. Whoever we traded with jumps up, picks him, and then we go down 5 spots, and whoever we pick ends up being a bust. God bless you.
Thank you. Um yeah, in that kind of scenario, yeah, I can see the pressure because like I said, you only got 6 picks in the draft. And
Mm-hmm.
ideally to me, I've always looked at it as your first 3 picks are picks that you really want to hit on or
Mm-hmm.
attempt to hit on, and they can eventually be immediate starters or a year away from being a starter. Like that's your whole thing. Your
Yeah.
first 2 or 3 rounds in the draft, or the first 2 or 3 picks, however you want to put it,
Mhm.
you looking to get starters.
Yeah.
The late rounds is where you looking to get and add depth. Now, every now and then you eventually pull a rose out of concrete and find you a starter in the 6th round, like Kansas City did like 3 years ago when they took Trey Smith out of Tennessee, the guard. and I was wanting
Hmm.
Carolina to take him so bad, but
Yeah.
Cincinnati got him, and he's been the starting right guard for them ever since. Okay,
Cincinnati or
so
KC?
I mean, KC. I'm sorry, did I say
Okay.
Cincinnati?
Yeah.
Yeah, I meant Kansas City. My bad.
All
So
right.
every now and then, I mean, there's some diamonds in the rough that you could find, later on in the draft. But to me, the importance of the draft,
Hmm.
in my opinion, is always in your first two or three picks. So,
Yeah.
but at the same time, if there's somebody there that I think Carolina likes and they really want to get, and the
They'll
value
take
is
him.
there, I don't think they're going to trade back. I think they're going to take that player.
Yeah, I hope so. Because I mean, we've had some decent second round picks, and then we had some to quote one of my favorite cast members on Wild and Out, a little shaky. It's little shaky. So, but yeah, we'll see.
All right. Well, listen, any final thoughts when we get out of here, man? This is our first episode, first segment of Agree or Disagree. Tell me what you think.
I enjoyed it. I
Okay.
rather enjoyed it, and I look forward to many more. And as always, like I tell everybody out there watching, like, subscribe, turn on those post notification bells so you know when our videos come out. We see you in the comments. We love you. We thank you for all the support.
All right. Well, thank you for watching Two Fans in the Stands. Agree or disagree. Don't forget to comment below and let us know. Do you agree or disagree with Bryce Young being a lock at number one overall? Or do you agree or disagree that the draft starts with the Panthers? I'm sorry, that the draft starts for the Panthers at the 39th pick in the draft. All right. So we look forward to hearing from you. And until then, Panther Nation, keep pounding.